The command deck of the Titan Armada's flagship, the Prometheus, buzzed with a mix of anticipation and meticulous last-minute checks. Captain Leo Marsden stood at the helm, his eyes scanning the digital readouts that flickered across the main console. Status report, Commander Hawkins? Leo's voice cut through the low hum of conversation, commanding and calm. Commander James Hawkins, his second-in-command, approached with a tablet in hand. All systems are green, Captain. Engineering reports propulsion is at full capacity and life support is stable. We're ready to go on your command. Leo nodded, his gaze lingering on the star map displayed on the screen ahead. The distant planet Oasis glittered like a jewel against the backdrop of space. And the crew? They're ready, Leo. Nervous, but ready, James replied, allowing a brief smile to cross his face. Good. Gather the team. It's time for one last briefing before we jump. Minutes later, the main briefing room was packed with the key members of the expedition. Leo looked over the faces of his diverse crew, from seasoned astronauts to eager young scientists, all united by a singular mission. Today, we take the first step toward what could be a new home for humanity, Leo began, his voice steady. Oasis is out there, a world that could be ours. But remember, we're not just colonizers, we're explorers. We're here to learn, to adapt, and to respect any life we might find. Dr. Emily Silva, the lead scientist, chimed in. Our preliminary scans suggest that Oasis could support human life, but we're going in blind to a lot of the specifics. Our job is to fill in those gaps. Leo turned to his navigator, Lieutenant Carl Zhang. Carl, set the coordinates for the hyperjump. It's a long way to Oasis, and every calculation needs to be precise. Carl nodded, his fingers flying over the hollow panel. Coordinates set, Captain. We can initiate the jump on your mark. Thank you, Carl. Leo's eyes swept across the room one last time. This journey isn't just about survival. It's about proving that humanity can do more than just endure. We can thrive, forging our path among the stars. Let's make sure we do it right. The room filled with a unified murmur of agreement and determination. Commander Hawkins, you have the bridge. Initiate the jump sequence. James saluted crisply. Yes, Captain. As Leo stepped out with Dr. Silva, he paused, reflecting on the weight of the moment. Emily, keep your teams on their toes. I don't want any surprises once we come out of the jump. Understood, Leo. We'll be ready for whatever we find. The ship vibrated slightly as the engines ramped up, the energy building to a crescendo. Back on the bridge, Leo stood beside James, watching as the stars stretched into lines of light. Jumping in 3, 2, 1. Space folded around the Prometheus, and the Titan Armada slipped into the hyperstream, bound for the unknown, their hearts set on the distant green world that beckoned them forward. The transition from hyperjump back to normal space was smoother than anyone on the Prometheus had anticipated. Captain Leo Marsden felt the subtle shift beneath his feet as he stood on the bridge, watching the view screens flicker and then stabilize, revealing the lush green and blue orb of Oasis. Beautiful, isn't it? Murmured Lieutenant Carl Zhang, his eyes not leaving the screen. More than I imagined, Leo replied. Let's hope it's as welcoming as it looks. Status? Orbital insertion complete, Captain. We're in a stable geosynchronous orbit, Carl reported. Good. Let's start with passive scans. I want to know what we're dealing with before we make any moves. Leo turned to Dr. Emily Silva, who was already busy at her station. Emily, what do we see? Initial scans show a rich biosphere, no signs of advanced technology or industry. It's primitive, but thriving. There's definitely life down there. The communication officer, Sergeant Mark Jensen, adjusted his headset, his fingers paused over his console. Captain, you might want to hear this. Leo approached, his expression curious. What is it, Mark? I'm picking up. It's some kind of signal, Captain. Not language, more like patterns. It's definitely artificial. Can we respond? Leo asked. It's not a language we can understand yet, but I can send a basic mathematical pulse back. Patterns of prime numbers. See if they recognize that as communication. Do it, Leo decided. As Mark sent the signal, The crew waited in tense silence. Minutes later, the screen flickered, and the signal returned, altered but clearly responding to their message. They understand us, or at least they understand we're trying to communicate, Leo concluded, a hint of excitement in his voice. Emily, Carl, prepare a landing team. We need to meet our neighbors. The landing party was small. Leo, Emily, Carl, and Sergeant Jensen. They suited up and boarded the shuttle, descending towards the planet with both trepidation and awe. The shuttle landed softly on a vast plain near the source of the signals. The door opened, revealing a breathtaking landscape. Vast fields of bioluminescent plants lit the area in a soft glow, and towering crystalline structures dotted the horizon. No sooner had they stepped out than figures emerged from the foliage. The creatures were tall, slender, and moved with an elegant grace. Their skin shimmered like the plants around them, reflecting the planet's ambient light. Stay calm, Leo whispered to his team, his hand raised in a peaceful gesture. The creatures mimicked his gesture. Carl stepped forward, offering a device that projected images of chemical structures, water, carbon dioxide, simple sugars. An offering of knowledge. One of the creatures touched the device, and images changed rapidly, showing complex organic compounds, then shifting to a depiction of the planet itself. They're showing us they understand our chemistry, and they're telling us about their environment, Emily interpreted, fascinated. Leo nodded, slowly approaching the leader. We come in peace. We wish to learn from you, and perhaps teach you about us. The leader's eyes, vivid and intelligent, met Leo's. It extended a hand, palm glowing slightly. Leo hesitated, then reached out and touched it. A warm sensation flooded through him, not just physical but emotional, a feeling of connection. We're not so different, you and I, Leo said softly, a statement more of wonder than communication. As they walked back to the shuttle after the meeting, Carl was thoughtful. You know, Captain, I think we just made the first peaceful contact without firing a single shot or offering a trade. Just mutual curiosity. Leo smiled, looking back at the figures that watched them leave. Curiosity might just be the universal language, Carl. Let's hope it's enough. Back aboard the Prometheus, the crew gathered around, eager to hear about the encounter. Leo addressed them all, a sense of cautious optimism in his voice. Today, we met the inhabitants of Oasis. They're curious about us, just as we are about them. There will be challenges ahead, but this is a beginning. A beginning of understanding, of dialogue. The chapter closed with the crew of Prometheus buzzing with a new energy, ready to embark on this unprecedented journey of interstellar diplomacy and understanding. A few days had passed since the first encounter, and the Prometheus crew was now engaged in a delicate dance of diplomacy and research with the Alari. The ship's conference room had been transformed into a combined command and communication center where Captain Leo Marsden and his team planned their next steps. Dr. Emily Silva was deep in conversation with Carl Zhang and Sergeant Mark Jensen as Leo entered the room. Morning, team. What's the progress on the language interface? Leo inquired, looking over Emily's shoulder at the data on her screen. We've made some strides, Captain, Carl replied. The Alari communicate through a combination of visual signals and direct touch, which conveys emotions and concepts directly to one another. It's complex but fascinating, Mark added. We've started using a basic pictographic system to bridge the gap. It's rudimentary, but it's working. We're actually starting to get their concepts of community and ecology. Good work. Keep pushing on that front. Understanding their language is key to everything else. Leo turned to Emily. And the ecological surveys? Oasis is more interconnected than any biosphere we've studied before. The Alari seem to live in symbiosis with their environment. Their technology doesn't impose on nature. It complements it. We could learn a lot from their models, Emily explained enthusiastically. Let's make sure we respect that balance. I don't want our presence here to disrupt their ecosystem, Leo stated firmly. Agreed, Emily nodded. I'll ensure all our field teams are briefed on minimal impact protocols. The door to the conference room swished open, and Lieutenant Adams, the head of security, stepped in. Captain, the Alari have invited a delegation from our crew to visit their main community center. They're offering to show us how they manage their ecological tech. Perfect timing, Adams. Set up a team. Carl, you're with me. Mark, coordinate with Emily on what tech we need to document this. Let's not miss any details. The team assembled quickly, and soon they were on their way to the Alari Community Center, a structure that resembled an organic growth more than a building, its walls seamlessly integrated with the surrounding flora. As they approached, an Alari elder greeted them. Its skin shimmered under the sunlight, reflecting the rich greens and blues of the landscape. "Welcome, friends from beyond the stars," the elder communicated through the device, its tone warm. "Thank you for having us," Leo replied, using the device. "We are here to learn and to share." The elder guided them through the center, showing them technologies that purified water, recycled nutrients, and supported the growth of plant life in a way that required little to no energy inputs. What they've achieved here, it's beyond sustainable. It's almost a closed-loop system, Carl observed, taking notes on his tablet. "Notice how their tech is almost alive," Emily commented as she examined a glowing panel that responded to her touch with subtle changes in hue. "It's like their technology grows and adapts just like a natural organism." As they toured, Leo discussed with the elder the possibilities of integrating human technology with Alari principles. The elder listened intently, nodding. "We see now that you seek harmony, not conquest. Perhaps there is much we can teach each other." "Yes, there is," Leo agreed. "We hope to learn from your wisdom, to share it with humanity, so that we might one day replicate your balance with nature on our worlds." As the meeting concluded, the delegation walked back to their shuttle, each member deep in thought about the implications of what they had learned. "Imagine if we could introduce these principles on Earth," Carl mused aloud. "It would change everything," Emily added, her eyes alight with possibilities. Back on the Prometheus, Leo convened a meeting with his senior staff. "Today we saw a model of living that could redefine our future. I want detailed reports and analyses on everything we've learned. Our mission here could shape the destiny of humanity." The crew nodded, energized by the potential of what lay ahead. Their mission on Oasis had evolved from mere exploration to a profound journey into shared knowledge and potential mutual growth with the Alari. Weeks on Oasis had deepened the crew's understanding of the planet and its inhabitants. The relationship between the humans and the Alari grew steadily, fueled by mutual curiosity and respect. Among these connections, one was particularly profound. Captain Leo Marsden found himself increasingly drawn to Mina, an Alari who specialized in their planet's ecological technologies. One morning, as the sun rose over the luminescent landscape, Leo and Mina stood together on the edge of a vast field, observing the effects of the Alari technology on plant growth. "It's fascinating," Leo said, "watching the gentle swaying of the plants, how your technology doesn't just support but enhances the ecosystem." Mina, her skin reflecting the soft morning light, turned to him, her expression thoughtful. "Our goal has always been to be part of the cycle, not above it. To nurture, not to dominate." "I think humanity has a lot to learn from that philosophy," Leo admitted. He glanced at her, his eyes tracing the subtle shimmer of her skin. "And I have a lot to learn from you." Mina smiled, a warm glow seeming to radiate from her. "And I from you, Leo. Your people's resilience and drive to explore are equally admirable." They walked together through the field, discussing potential collaborations. As they talked, their hands brushed occasionally, each accidental touch sending a surge of awareness through Leo. Later that day, they convened with other members of the human and Alari teams in the community center to share insights. Dr. Emily Silva presented findings alongside an Alari scientist, their collaborative work pointing towards significant advances in both human and Alari agricultural techniques. After the meeting, as the room cleared, Leo lingered, Mina beside him. "You know, back on Earth, we often talk about first contact scenarios. I never imagined it would be like this," he confessed. "What did you imagine?" Mina asked, genuinely curious. "Honestly, I thought it might be more confrontational. Fear of the unknown." Mina nodded. "Fear can be a powerful barrier. It's a relief to find understanding instead." Their conversation drifted to less formal topics, and soon they were sharing stories of their respective worlds. Leo talked about Earth's oceans, while Mina described the deep caves of Oasis that glowed with natural bioluminescence. As the hour grew late, Leo realized he didn't want the evening to end. "Would you show me those caves sometime?" he asked impulsively. "I'd like that," Mina replied, her tone suggesting she felt the same way. The next week, true to her word, Mina led Leo to the glowing caves. Inside, the light from the bioluminescent algae cast everything in a surreal, ethereal glow. They walked in comfortable silence, their footsteps soft on the sandy floor. "It's beautiful," Leo whispered, looking around in awe. The light reflected in Mina's eyes, making them sparkle. "Yes, it is," she agreed, then looked at him. "Leo, there is something about you. I find myself drawn to you in ways I didn't anticipate." Leo's heart raced. He felt the same magnetic pull. "Mina, Before he could finish, Mina reached out, placing her hand gently on his chest. Her touch was warm, and the emotional connection, facilitated by her innate abilities, flowed between them. It was a rush of feelings, of shared human and Alari emotions. Leo leaned down, his decision made in the heartbeat that thumped loudly in his ears. Their lips met in a kiss that was tentative at first, but grew more confident as they each gave in to the moment. The kiss deepened, a mingling of curiosity, affection, and a hint of desperation for connection. They broke apart, breathless. "This is new for me," Mina breathed, her hand still resting against Leo's chest. "For me, too," Leo replied, his voice thick. "But it feels right." They spent a long time in the cave, talking and exploring the depths of their feelings. When they returned to the surface, the stars of Oasis shone above them, a witness to their burgeoning relationship. Back aboard the Prometheus, Leo couldn't help but feel that something significant had shifted, not just in his mission, but within himself. He knew the days ahead would bring challenges, but for now, he allowed himself to savor the joy of new love. As the days turned into weeks, the human crew of the Prometheus found themselves at a crossroads. The potential for a lasting peace and fruitful collaboration with the Alari had never been higher. Yet within the ranks of the crew, dissent brewed. In the ship's mess hall, Captain Leo Marsden sat with Commander James Hawkins and Lieutenant Carl Jung, discussing the undercurrents of discontent among certain crew members. "It's about control, Leo," James said, his voice low. "Some of our people feel like we're giving up too much by integrating so closely with the Alari. They're worried we're losing our identity as explorers and becoming just guests or worse, dependents." Leo sighed, rubbing his forehead. "I understand their concerns, but they're not seeing the bigger picture. What we're learning here could change humanity's approach to colonization forever. It's not about conquest, it's about coexistence." Carl, who had been mostly quiet, chimed in. "I've heard some talk among the engineers too. They're itching to try out new tech, but they feel held back by the need to align everything with Alari principles. We need to address this head-on," Leo decided. "Let's organize a town hall meeting. It's time everyone understands exactly what's at stake here." The town hall meeting was set for the following evening in the ship's main assembly area. The entire crew gathered, a murmur of voices filling the space with a mix of anticipation and tension. Leo stood at the front, with Mina by his side, symbolizing the unity between the humans and the Alari. He began the meeting by explaining the achievements and learning that had taken place since their arrival on Oasis. "I know there are concerns about our mission and our relationship with the Alari," Leo addressed the crew. "But think about what we've gained. Knowledge, understanding, a chance to see a new way of life that we could take back to Earth." A voice from the crowd interrupted him. "But Captain, aren't we risking too much by intertwining our fate with theirs? What if this doesn't work out?" Leo nodded, acknowledging the concern. "It's a risk, yes, but every great journey involves risk. We didn't come here to replicate Earth. We came to find new ways to live, new solutions to old problems." Mina then took a step forward, her voice calm yet carrying across the room. "Our intention was never to overshadow your identity or mission. We offered partnership because we saw potential for harmony, not subjugation. We are here to share, not to impose." The discussion went on, with various crew members voicing their fears and hopes. Leo and Mina answered as best they could, promoting an open dialogue. After the meeting, as the crew dispersed, Leo and James walked back to the command deck. "That went better than I expected," James commented. You think it helped? I hope so, Leo replied. At least it's out in the open now. We need to be united if this is going to work. Over the next few days, Leo observed a cautious but noticeable change in the crew's demeanor. The engineers started working more closely with Alari tech experts, and the biologists took further steps to integrate Earth's ecological knowledge with that of the Alari. One evening, while walking through one of the living quarters, Leo overheard a group of young crew members discussing their daily interactions with the Alari. Their tone was curious, enthusiastic even. It was a small, reassuring sign that attitudes were shifting. Back in his quarters, Leo shared these observations with Mina. It's not going to be smooth sailing, but I think we're finally starting to make real progress. Mina smiled, reaching out to squeeze his hand. Patience and understanding are like the roots of a tree, Leo. They grow deep and strong, even if you can't see them. Leo looked into her eyes, grateful not just for her partnership, but for her support. With you by my side, I believe we can make this work. For both our peoples. Together, they continued to navigate the complex waters of human-Alari relations, steering the Prometheus crew toward a future that was uncertain but held the promise of something truly transformative. Weeks had passed since the town hall meeting aboard the Prometheus, and the atmosphere among the crew had shifted. The initial skepticism had given way to a collaborative spirit, fostering a burgeoning relationship between humans and the Alari. Captain Leo Marsden walked alongside Dr. Emily Silva and Lieutenant Carl Jing through the biolabs where joint research projects were underway. Emily, Carl, how are the integration projects coming along? Leo asked, his eyes scanning the room filled with human and Alari scientists working together. Emily beamed with enthusiasm. They're going better than anticipated, Leo. We've made significant breakthroughs in combining our agricultural techniques with Alari ecological tech. It's groundbreaking. The efficiency is unlike anything we've achieved on Earth. Carl nodded in agreement, pointing towards a monitor displaying real-time data. And the energy conservation project is also seeing remarkable progress. We're actually using less power now, thanks to Alari designs. Leo's face lit up with a proud smile. This is exactly what we hoped for. Keep pushing the boundaries, team. Let's see how far we can go with this. As they continued their tour, Leo's communicator buzzed. It was Commander James Hawkins. Captain, the Alari elders have requested a meeting. They want to discuss formalizing our cooperation. Thanks, James. Tell them we'll be there shortly, Leo responded, a sense of anticipation stirring within him. Gathering Mina and a few senior members of his crew, Leo led the delegation to the Alari's community center, a serene place that had become a frequent meeting spot for discussions. The elders greeted them with their customary grace, and the two groups sat facing each other in a circle. One of the elders, an imposing figure with deep, insightful eyes, began the discussion. Captain Marsden, your people and ours have shared much since your arrival. We see a future where this cooperation can blossom into something enduring. We propose a pact, a formal agreement to share knowledge, resources, and habitats. Leo exchanged a glance with Mina, who nodded subtly. Elder, we're honored by your proposal. We, too, see a great benefit in formalizing our relationship. However, we want to ensure that this pact respects both our needs and doesn't compromise our autonomy. Indeed, Captain, the elder replied. We envision a partnership where each side contributes equally, learning from each other without overreach. James, who had been listening intently, added, we would also like to establish a framework for conflict resolution, should disagreements arise in the future. That is wise, another elder agreed. Let us include a mechanism for mediation in our pact, utilizing both human and Alari mediators. The discussion moved into more technical details, with both sides contributing ideas and solutions. Mina and Emily outlined a shared research agenda, while Carl and an Alari engineer proposed plans for joint exploration missions to other parts of Oasis. As the meeting drew to a close, Leo felt a profound sense of achievement. Thank you, elders, for your trust and openness. Let's take some time to draft this pact, ensuring it reflects all that we've agreed upon today. The elders nodded in agreement, and the groups parted with a sense of mutual respect and anticipation for the future. Back on the Prometheus, Leo convened a meeting with his senior staff to discuss the implications of the pact. "We're about to embark on something truly historic," he began, addressing the room. "This pact isn't just a treaty. It's a blueprint for how humanity can coexist peacefully and productively with other civilizations." Carl raised his hand. "Captain, what about the rest of the crew? How do we ensure everyone understands and supports this pact?" Leo considered this for a moment. "We'll hold another town hall. It's important that this isn't just a command decision. Every member of the crew should feel they're part of this milestone." The chapter closed with the crew busy preparing for the town hall, each person contributing to a shared future that was slowly taking shape on the beautiful, once alien world of Oasis. This was a new kind of exploration, one that went beyond maps and probes, reaching into the realms of diplomacy, shared living, and interspecies trust. Under the radiant skies of Oasis, the first foundations of the joint settlement were being laid. Captain Leo Marsden and Mina, accompanied by a team of human and Alari engineers and workers, surveyed the site where both civilizations would soon live and work side by side. "This is where the central hub will be," Leo pointed to the digital blueprint displayed on a portable screen. "Half the structure will incorporate Alari design principles, blending naturally with the environment. The other half will use human architectural styles, but modified to ensure ecological compatibility." Mina nodded, her eyes reflecting the ambition of their joint endeavor. "It's a symbol of our unity, two halves of a whole. Our people are excited, Leo. They see this as a new chapter in our history." Lieutenant Carl Jung, overseeing the logistics of construction, chimed in. "We've got the first shipments of biocompatible materials from the ship ready to go. The Alari have introduced a new type of biocement that hardens in response to sunlight. It's impressive stuff." Leo smiled at Carl's enthusiasm. "Great. Let's ensure the construction teams are briefed on how to use it. It's different from anything we've used before, but it's exactly the kind of innovation we came here to find." As the day progressed, Leo and Mina met with various teams to discuss everything from structural engineering to energy systems. Dr. Emily Silva and her Alari counterpart, a biologist named Thera, proposed integrating a system of living walls throughout the settlement for air purification and aesthetic beauty. Each wall will be filled with native flora, selected for their air-cleaning properties and natural beauty, Emily explained. "Thera has been invaluable in helping us understand which plants are best suited for the task." Thera, her tone warm and collaborative, added, "It's a pleasure to work together, combining our knowledge for such a functional and beautiful solution." As they toured the ongoing construction, Sergeant Mark Jensen, responsible for communications, discussed with an Alari tech expert how to integrate human and Alari communication systems. "We need a seamless flow of information, not just for practicality, but to ensure everyone feels connected and informed," Mark said, as they examined the interface prototypes. "Yes, understanding each other will be the key to our cohabitation," the Alari expert agreed, nodding. Later in the evening, after a long day of hard work and planning, Leo and his senior crew gathered for a brief meeting to discuss the day's progress and outline the next steps. "We're on schedule, and the collaboration is going better than I dared hope," Leo began, his voice tired but satisfied. "This settlement isn't just a place to live. It's a testament to what we can achieve together." James Hawkins, who had been quiet for most of the meeting, finally spoke up. "It's more than that, Leo. It's a beacon for the future. If we can make this work, think of what it means for other human colonies, for the future of interstellar relations." Leo nodded, feeling the weight of their achievements. "Exactly, James. What we're creating here will serve as a model. But let's keep focused on the immediate tasks. We need this to work not just in theory but in practice." As the meeting concluded, Leo lingered back, looking over the settlement site, bathed in the light of Oasis' twin moons. Mina joined him, her presence comforting. "It's really happening, isn't it?" she murmured, standing close. "It is," Leo confirmed, taking her hand. "And it's just the beginning." They stood together, watching as the lights of the construction site flickered against the night, a tangible sign of progress. In this moment, the future seemed not just bright, but possible, a shared dream slowly, steadily becoming reality. The integrated colony of Oasis was nearing completion. Captain Leo Marsden, together with Mina and the rest of the joint leadership team, stood before a gathering of humans and Alari. The occasion was to celebrate the anniversary of the Titan Armada from Earth's arrival, marking a year of unprecedented cooperation and shared growth. Leo addressed the crowd, his voice carrying clearly over the assembly. A year ago, we arrived with hopes of finding a new home, not just for humanity but for any who would join us in our journey. Today, we stand not as visitors but as partners, in a settlement that symbolizes a new way of living together. Mina stepped forward, her eyes scanning the diverse faces in the crowd. This celebration is not just about remembering a day, but about celebrating what we have achieved and what we will continue to build together. Our collaboration has taught us much about each other and ourselves. Lieutenant Carl Zhang, who had been instrumental in the construction phase, joined Leo and Mina. This settlement is one of the first of its kind. It's a place where technology and nature exist in balance, where the ideas of two very different cultures merge to create something new and vibrant. The ceremony included a tour of the settlement, showcasing the living walls designed by Dr. Emily Silva and Thera, the Alari biologist. These walls, now lush and mature, lined the walkways of the colony, their leaves fluttering gently in the planet's soft breezes. Each section of this settlement represents a chapter of our story together, Emily explained to the group following her. These plants are from both Earth and Oasis, growing side by side, much like all of us. As the day progressed, various presentations and workshops were held. Sergeant Mark Jensen demonstrated the integrated communication system, a seamless melding of human and Alari technology that allowed residents to share information instantly. We've developed a system that respects and incorporates both our ways of understanding, Mark told the onlookers, pride evident in his voice. The evening concluded with a communal meal, featuring dishes from Earth and Oasis, prepared by human and Alari chefs working in harmony. The dining area was filled with laughter and lively conversations, a testament to the bonds that had been forged. After the meal, Leo and James Hawkins walked through the settlement, observing the interactions between their crew and the Alari. "Did you ever imagine this, James? That we could pull this off?" Leo asked, a note of wonder in his voice. James shook his head, smiling. "Honestly, no. I thought we'd face much more resistance, both from our own people and the Alari. But look at this. Look at what we've achieved. It's more than just survival," Leo mused. "It's living. It's thriving together in a way that honors both our identities." As night fell, a ceremony of light commenced, with Alari and human children releasing bioluminescent lanterns into the sky. The lanterns drifted upward, their glow mingling with the stars, a symbol of hope and shared dreams. Leo stood beside Mina, watching the lights ascend. "This is just the beginning, isn't it? There's so much more ahead." Mina nodded, her hand finding Leo's. "Yes, much more. This partnership, this community, it's a model for others to follow. Together, we'll keep exploring, keep learning." The chapter closed on the colony of Oasis, a beacon of shared humanity and alien cooperation, shining brightly under the stars. The people of the Titan Armada had not just survived their arrival but had thrived, crafting a new kind of existence that promised a future of peace and prosperity for all.